Instagram. We are in the meta universe here. And actually, Prab, I'm going to give you co-host so you can keep letting people in. Okay, and then Bridget as well, give you co-host. And we're getting started in just 1 second here. All right, everyone's filing in. Go ahead, let us know in the comments, the chats, wherever you're watching. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I always love to see, whenever we do these live events, we have such a global audience and presence and community. It's always exciting to see where people already look. Prague, we've got Ailette from Prague. Beautiful. Christina's asking if I love Restream. Yes, I do actually. It's fantastic. There's a few of these kinds of apps where you can do into multiple platforms. StreamYard is another popular one. I use Restream.io. And so right now we're actually live on several Facebook groups, pages, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're all over the place. And we also, separately, I'm using my phone to go live on Instagram Live. Fantastic. We've got Christina representing from Idaho. I know we've got some more international people. I see you here joining us. I think we've got UK, East Coast. Fantastic. All right. So we are, let me just make sure we are still, okay, we're good on all the platforms. Fantastic. Well, thank you all for being here today. It's great to see you, some familiar faces, some new faces. And today, we're here. These classes we're holding every other Thursday at 1 p.m. for the Ultimate Media Breakthrough. And we're touching on different topics each time within the space that I'm an expert and teach at, which is the, visibility. My background, 25 years in PR. And helping small business owners, consultants, creatives get the visibility and the publicity that they're looking to get out in the world. So I am going to pull up my sheet here so I can stay on track with our topics today. Yes, so today we are going to cover the 6 phases of visibility so that you can really identify where you're at and where you want to go. So, and we'll have some time. If you have questions along the way, if you're here in the Zoom room, you can put those in the chat. You can also add to the Facebook group comments or the Instagram. I'll try to keep an eye over here. My team is looking at the Facebook group. They'll let me know. They'll probably send the questions over here in Zoom if you have any. And along the way, I'll try to answer, but we'll also save time at the end if anyone has questions that they did not get answered along the way. So let's just get a gauge of who's in the room today. So I'd love to see who here feels like a total newbie at their visibility. Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you feel like a total newbie. And if you're maybe intermediate, advanced beginner, intermediate, you've done some of this work, you feel like you kind of know what you're doing, but you could use a little more help, like that's a 2. And then if you feel like you're already kind of a pro at this stuff, you're, really in a good place with your visibility, go ahead and put a 3. I just like to see kind of who's actually here and showing up so I can cater the content to you who, those of you who are actually here tuning in. Of course, if you're watching on the replay, go ahead, #replay, and I'll come back and say hello later. Okay, so I see some 1s and 2s coming through. Fantastic. Okay, yeah, and there's no judgment, like wherever you are is exactly perfect. And what I wanted to share today was really this trajectory that in, over 2 decades of doing this work, from helping unknown underdogs to A-list celebrities, unknown brands to, major brands, get into the spotlight, get more awareness for their work, for their mission. I want to be able to share the pretty consistent trajectory that I have seen almost every single client have over the years. It's not to say that, there's not a little wiggle room, and sometimes things might look a little differently for different people, but it is a pretty good overview of how this stuff works and how you can expect it to unfold in your own journey. So typically what we're starting with is what I like to call phase 1, the visible visionary. right? This is for you. You're basically here probably if you're already a visible visionary, you're someone who has a vision in the world, something you're trying to do. You just are looking for more visibility, right? You have a job or a talent or a career or a service, a product, something you're looking to get out to the world in a bigger way. So the first and most important piece, we actually touched on it in last week's masterclass. So you can always go into our Facebook group, the Shine Strategy Insiders, and watch last week's masterclass, which was about the inner work. And, really this first piece I talk about is that mindset and alignment. I also have a background in the healing arts. So this is a place we always want to start from, is being really connected to that vision of what we're here to do in the world, and really like have that commitment to that vision. So when we're in alignment with our purpose, we have our message clarity, right? That's where it all starts, right? If we're feeling aligned with all of that, it's everything else is so much easier. So this is, I often talk about positioning. Something in PR and marketing we talk about is positioning. And sometimes people, they're like, well, don't use that word because people don't understand what that means, but I want to explain it to you. So your positioning is essentially putting out into the world how you want to be seen and received in the world. So that's where, kind of my genius zone and wheelhouse and expertise has come from. So many years of doing this is helping experts, creatives, consultants identify their positioning. And often you have it already, and sometimes we just need to like tweak it a little bit. So, the positioning and that purpose clarity, that message clarity, being in alignment with that vision, really this is this first phase of the visible visionary. That's where we want to start. And it also includes, having an actual plan and a strategy that you're going to be executing. So once you have that foundation, and actually when you know also what your next step invitation is. So it's one thing to get visible, but if you're not actually having a call to action or having a next step for people to do once they get to know you or meet you or come into your ecosystem or your sphere or in connection with you, we can kind of end up spinning our wheels. And I always say, I'm a cobbler without shoes. I'm guilty of all of this. That's why you're seeing me today, because it's so important that we all get in the front of our businesses and be our own best champion and sing loud and proud to the world, like what we're doing, what we're putting into the world, and letting people know like how they can find us, how they can connect with us, how we can be of service to them and help them. So knowing that call to action, your marketable offering, what I call the aligned invitation, is also really important from the very beginning. So when people come into, for example, my Shine Online Mastermind, the first thing we do is an audit of their business and business model to make sure they have that and that they have a way of monetizing their special gifts. Because if we don't have that set up, yes, we all are here and want to do beautiful, good things, purpose-driven, heart-driven things in the world, and make the world a better place. If you're in my community, that's definitely the vibe you're in. But at the same time, we also want to be compensated for our gifts in the world. So it's very important that we have a proper business model set up. And often I'm really speaking to the creatives on this, especially like actors, filmmakers, musicians, artists. A lot of time they're not running their business as a small business, right? Your career needs to be run just like a small business owner runs their business. So that's a big mindset shift that we start off with typically right away. So this is this early phase, this phase one, the visible visionary. And I also say in this phase is when we say yes to everything. It's actually the first couple or few phases when you're just starting out to get yourself visible in the world. It's about saying yes to any opportunity, pretty much, as long as it feels in alignment, that comes your way. If someone wants to feature you, interview you, collaborate with you, like have you on their stage, whatever it may be, maybe it's a blogger or someone that wants you to submit an article, whatever it is, right? We're not too good for any of that stuff, right? We say yes to all of it, right? We want to get start getting your name and face and image and story and message and voice out there in every way possible. So again, this is phase one, visible visionary. And this is where we really have the foundations of the beginning of your visibility journey. So I want you to pay attention and be taking notes on things that I'm saying here, because we're going to ask you in a little bit to identify where you are in this 6-phase journey. And let's just get a check in here. How are you guys doing? Let's get some comments in the chats. Are you tracking with me? How many visible visionaries do we have with us today? People who are working on the foundations, or maybe you already feel like you have the foundation, or you need a little help with the foundation. Go ahead and put a yes or a 1 in the chat if you feel like you connect to this visible visionary phase. Awesome. Just kind of seeing who's joining us. I see we've got, fantastic. A bunch of people over here on Instagram have joined. We've got, Siamak is in Istanbul. Hi, Siamak. I told you, all over the world. We're very global here. Fantastic. Pilot says, yes, still finding the core message and gift. Yeah, so important, like really getting that message clarity. Like most of you probably know your purpose, you feel a calling, that's why you're here. And you're ready to get that out into the world in a bigger way. Beautiful. Okay. Hope is ready to take notes. Awesome. Yeah, keep that notebook handy and feel free to engage here in the chat and the comments as well. We've got some of my team members here as well, and we're here to support you. Okay, so phase 2. All right, so everyone's got that. Phase 1, visible visionary. Now we're moving to phase 2, digital media mastery. This is a phase where we often start, a lot of my clients, and this is also for my PR agency side. I have been doing my PR agency for, 2 decades plus. It's only been about 5 years since I started the online programs in business. But really, even with the PR agency side, that's where I kind of picked up on this trajectory. And this is what I'm now teaching in the programs. So what we found is that even with, a high level, like new client in the agency side, we were often starting with the new media. So this includes, starting to get you out there in your owned media. Of course, most of us, who doesn't have some sort of owned social media these days, right? Everyone's got something. If you don't, you're definitely like a bit of a unicorn. And, if you think you don't have any sort of social profile, you probably do. Even if you don't have a lot online, if someone Googles your name, there's probably something out there on you. So this is, again, talking about your positioning, setting things up. This is about wanting to lead the conversation of who you are in the world. So we often are focusing on new media to start. So getting clarity with consistency on all of your social, digital platforms, putting out there in an aligned way who you are, right? Speaking the message you want to be sharing with the world and the story, right? And then we have the contributing writing. That's something you can easily do. There's so many online sites, magazines, places to get your own writing and voice out there. We also have podcasts, which would also be another form of what we consider digital media. So I call these kind of the low-hanging fruits, right? Like contributing writing, digital platforms, podcasts. There's so many free ways out there to get your message out into the world. So that's, something I really teach and focus on is how to do those things, right? Like as you come into this ecosystem of starting your visibility journey. So, okay. We also have a lot of you that are very interested in speaking on stages and getting paid to speak. A lot of the clients I have, they really want to amp up. Some of them maybe already are getting paid to speak and they just want a more filled out speaker schedule. Some of them are brand new to speaking their message. So there is a trajectory within that field as well of how to get yourself out there and speaking on stages and working your way into paid speaking opportunities. And, a lot of people are out there speaking on other people's platforms. So again, everything that you're going to learn through me is organic methods of putting yourself out there. So it is writing, speaking, and media, right? Those are 3 free ways that I teach for you to get organic visibility, right? So this is not paid visibility. This is not through advertising or Facebook ads or promotions or any of that stuff. This is all what we call free publicity. So, all right. So that's phase 2. Okay. So are we tracking? Let's do a check-in here. Any questions so far? Can we get a 1 if you're tracking with me in the chat here, or I see a 2 coming through. Awesome. Great to see you guys are still with me. Awesome. Okay. Fantastic. And just checking to see if we have any other questions coming through here. Okay. So, Hope is saying doing my best between 1 and 2. Okay. So some of you are already identifying where you are. Okay. Maybe that's what Christina's saying. She feels like she's in phase 2. Awesome. So we have next we have phase 3, which I call the PR gateway. So this is really where we start getting you pitching yourself to mainstream media. This is a whole other level. This is typically something you need to hire a PR professional, a PR agency, a team to do for you. And, a big incentive here nowadays for everyone wanting to do, like, actually get in the media is because that's a big contributor to getting featured on, first getting social verification. You have to have so many articles within a certain amount of time to get that. It's not a guarantee, but it absolutely is going to help you amp up those chances of getting verified socially. It's something that is required for Wikipedia. You need to have reliable sources writing about you out there to actually have a Wikipedia page. And really, this is like where we're establishing you as the expert, right? So everything I'm teaching really is for you how to have your personal umbrella brand of you as the expert, the visionary with what you're doing in the world. We had one new client come in to Shine Online this week who was like, aha moment of like, okay, I thought I wanted to get awareness for my project, but now I'm realizing that it's bigger than that. It's actually her developing, her umbrella brand, who she is, her name, her face. And then within that, there's the projects that you're doing, right? So it's just kind of a whole mindset shift on how you're going to be promoting and publicizing you and whatever it is you're putting out there. At this point, we're also really looking at media lists, like making sure we have the right media targets, making sure that you know who you're actually going to be pitching. So that we determine by deciding, okay, who is your audience and where are they hanging out? What are they watching? What are they reading? And so that's where we can support you with like getting you the proper media contacts and lists, which is for most people, I always hear that's one of the biggest challenges is just not knowing like, who do I pitch? How do I find these people? How do I contact them? So that's why, we've built into our system is actually supporting with that, giving the actual media contacts. And really, this is where we start proactive pitching. So that's, I talk about evergreen pitching. So those of you who are in my community have probably heard some of these terms before, but I'll explain just in case you're new here. So the proactive evergreen pitching is really, as we talk about you as the face of your brand, that is something that you can be talking about and pitching every month, every week, every month, putting it out there that you are available for interview and to be featured in the press, right? Because you have an expertise and it depends on the pitch, like how you pitch it. You're going to tie into specific things happening in the world, in the news, whatever it may be, trends and, roundup stories or all these ways to do it. And that's where I can help guide you is, what are you going to be pitching? How are you going to pitch yourself in an evergreen way consistently throughout the year? Because I will say the name of this game is consistency, persistence, right? Not just thinking this is for later, or, okay, I'll do 2 things now and then maybe I'll get a win and then I'll just drop off, or I didn't get a win, so I'm just not going to keep pitching. No, this is about consistency of doing it over and over and over again until you get the results you want, until you get to phase 6, right? And we're only in phase 3 right now. And typically the people that come into my community or my programs are the ones who want to be at phase 6. So we'll get there in just a few minutes now. Okay, so we've got phase 3 here. That's again where you're starting to pitch traditional or mainstream media, which we talked about digital media. Now that's the mainstream is more like TV shows, right? Programs, news, local TV news channels. You've got magazines, which of course have their online presence, but there are still, you can still get hard copy magazines, right? Newspapers, radio, all of those sort of traditional formats of media, which also all now have those online components. So it is also digital, but that's more what we call the traditional mainstream press. And it does have a lot of cachet. There is still, nothing like the feeling of picking something up like a magazine going, oh my gosh, I'm featured in there. And of course, all of these things are great to share once you have those wins. So we'll get into that in a couple minutes here too. So yeah, creation of your media targets and lists, the proactive evergreen pitching. And really this is where you're developing, because now you've got some groundwork with your foundation, with your messaging, with all of your platforms, and really starting to put out into the world those key signature topics and talks. And whatever your intention is for your mission, your message, your legacy, like that's really now starting to get out there. Okay, so we have, I see one question coming in before we go to phase 4. Okay, for actors in phase 2, what would be speaking gigs when just starting out, or do you suggest finding another topic to be an expert in? So this is the big mindset shift, I think, for most actors, is a lot of them are so focused on just promoting that they're an actor, even on their social, it's like headshot, right? Like you're a multidimensional being, and industry people want to see that. They want to see who you are, right? So creating that holistic, soul-aligned personal brand of who you are is really important, which means you're not just talking about acting. Yes, that might be one of your pillars of content, showing your work behind the scenes, but what else are you talking about, right? And so whether you're speaking on a stage or in somebody's Facebook group or on a panel at a film festival, whatever it is that you're out there doing, right? You want to have things that you're talking about that you're passionate about. So it could be a myriad of things. And this is where the customization comes in to each of you. So none of this is about changing who you already are. It's just about being more of who you already are, shining a light on it, right? Shining your inner light brighter and putting more of you out there in a way that feels really good and aligned to you. It's not doing things because someone said you should do it. It's doing it because it feels right to you. And that's where, people can get a little overwhelmed, because as you're hearing, there are a lot of different things you can do and directions you can go. But that's where, I can help you like laser in on what are those things, right? Like that's one of my gifts that I've had for a very long time is, being able to look at someone and say, okay, this is your goal. Okay, I see the path to get there, right? That's sort of something that over the years in my PR agency, like people would ask, like, how are you getting such great results for your clients? And it was just because I had this ability and this gift to really tune in to them. I think part of this is, the background in the healing arts with their vision and see a path to get there, right? So just that bit alone is like such invaluable support and feedback. And so that's why I'm here putting myself out like this, because me doing this is always a little bit awkward and uncomfortable. I can be an extrovert, but I actually sway more towards being an introvert. Also have questions and issues around putting yourselves out there. Christina says 100%. Yeah. All right. So, all right, let's move on to phase 4, press power. All right, so this is where you're truly making yourself official, okay? You've started dipping your toe into the press and getting yourself organized with your media targets and learning how to start setting yourself up for success. Maybe you've done a little bit of pitching to some mainstream media, but now we're really going to go out to the press in a big way, making yourself official. You can put an announcement over a wire. And we really get into the proactive pitching to mainstream media at this point. We were talking about reactive before, where we do like sort of like a gentler approach. And we don't have time to get into all the things today, but I have some strategies and tactics and tips that will help you do that. So now we're getting into proactive pitching. And this is truly where you're going to start probably with your local hometown industry trades and whatever niche you're in. And once you're doing that, you're now getting this enhanced authority because you've got other people writing about you, talking about you, right? They're pumping you up. It's not you saying, hey, I'm great and I can do this. It's someone else saying, wow, look at this person. They've got this and that, and they're doing incredible things in the world, right? There's nothing like a third-party stamp of approval from a media person. And, this is an important stage also to make sure you're media trained so that you know how to be, especially on camera, right? And I even find with my actor clients that are, they're on stage, they're in front of cameras a lot when it comes to being on camera with an interview with the press or the media. That's a whole different ballgame, and it is a learned skill. So learning how to do it, what to do, what not to do, what to wear, what not to wear, what to say, what not to say, all those things, right, are just going to help you have a much better interview that's going to end up airing at the end of the day. And so at this point, okay, so we're in our press power. Things, as you can see, things are starting to move and happen. You're getting that enhanced authority through the power of the media. And now this is where we're going to amp it up even more. Phase 5 is what I call going global, right? So at this point, now you're doing your proactive pitching, but you're taking it even bigger. You're going to regional, national, and international press. You're finding ways just to get yourself out there on a more global scale. A lot of you have shows. A lot of you want to start shows or podcasts, right? So that's another thing we often talk about is, when we come back to that, like, where are you putting yourself out on your own platforms, right? That's a fantastic way of really starting to get to the next step, which is phase 6, where you're that more pervasive presence out there. And at this point, you are going to have a press room. That's like where you kind of show your press that you're leveraging your wins. You've got those press hits featured on your website, maybe in their own press page. Those as seen in logo bars, because now you've had some press wins to talk about. And you're likely at this point having more of those speaking opportunities. And if you've been doing it and not getting paid at this point, especially once you start to get the press, you can command more. You can ask for money. You can ask for more money. The higher profile you get, the more you can raise your rates, right? And along the way here, just keep in mind, each of these phases along the way, you're upping your rates, right? Because as the credibility grows, people don't question, right? If you're out there everywhere, they're like, of course they would, have these rates. So, okay, let's see. A lot of you are also publishing books or want to publish books. That's another incredible PR marketing tool. And so we talked about evergreen PR and pitching. Now, this is where we talk about also project-based. So if you have something that has a timestamp on it, a release date, it's coming out in the world, that's where we also want to be making sure you're doing what we call a PR push or a campaign around that as well. So you've got your evergreen pitching, that's happening all throughout the year. And then you've got these separate pushes that you do where you really have a chance to, go through the stratosphere with your publicity. And at this point, also, you're growing your rate. We talked about raising your rates. You're growing your community and your audience, right? Because as you get more exposure, what happens? You get more followers, you get more clients, more people are showing up wanting what you have because you've made it very easy. At this point, it's very easy to get you, right? They know what you stand for. They know what you're doing in the world. And if they feel that you can be of service to them, they're going to connect with you and ask you for that help, right? So especially for those of you looking to get more clients, for those of you that are looking to get more gigs, a lot of the creatives are wanting to get in front of industry people to get hired more. So this is truly the fast track and what I call the secret, the way to get there. A lot of people say, oh, this is for later, or I'll do it later. But I laugh because I'm like, no, this is the thing that gets you there. So if you're looking to become more known, then this is the way to do it. We start now versus later. And what else do we have here? At this point, too, you might be starting to submit yourself for awards. You might be receiving awards. You're elevating your work, your profile, your visibility. And with that come a lot of unexpected opportunities. And so now we're moving into phase 6, which I call the pinnacle of success, right? So this is that place, that pervasive awareness where people are seeing you everywhere. You're entering the zeitgeist. People just, and we know these people, right? You're just like, wait, I just saw them over here and over there, and everyone's talking about them. And there's this buzz and this, just this feeling around them of being, omnipresent, right? And so this is when you're reusing, recycling, repurposing all your wins. You can do that for years to come. And you're building your momentum. So this is a fantastic time where you're pitching collaborators, partners, whether it's sponsors, investors, donors, whatever it is you're seeking, right? And some of you probably have nonprofits. I've done a lot of work with nonprofits and fundraisers over the years. So having like sizzle reels showing now all of the press coverage or your speaking ops or where you've been, it's really easy for people to just say, oh, yes, we want this person to either work with us or on our stage. They want to pay you, they want to hire you, whatever it is. And you have this omnipresent awareness and are considered the go-to expert in your niche. So at this point, this is the exciting part. We started phase 1 was say yes to everything, right? We don't want to be too picky. We want to get out there. We just want people to get to know us and our message. Now at this phase, the phase 6, where you're out there and have this pervasive awareness for you and your message and your work, this is where you get to pick and choose. So this is the place where you get to say no more often, right? You get to be very selective, focus your time, your energy, right? You're getting paid more to do less. So this is a really exciting phase of the journey. And so when I think about when I first came to Hollywood a million years ago, I was reading all those magazines with former legendary publicist Pat Kingsley, who was Tom Cruise's publicist at the time, doing all the big movies. And I said, oh my gosh, that sounds so exciting. I love movies. I want to go out to Hollywood. I want to be a movie publicist. And, so we always as publicists, we kind of joke. And so that's what you think of as that level of pervasiveness and superstardom of a Tom Cruise or something. They can afford to say no to whatever they want to say no to, right? They can pick and choose what they want to do on their career path. It's a beautiful thing. So, are you in the yes to everything phase, which that's a great thing? Are you yet in the no, I'm going to kind of streamline and focus my time and energy because I don't need to get that awareness, right? So that's kind of, we're looking at the two opposite ends of the spectrum or where the pendulum swings, right? Opposite ends. So most of us, are still in the yes, we want to get our message out there and that awareness. It's not many people that hit that pinnacle of success, that level 6, or especially earlier on when they're starting their visibility journey. It is a career-long commitment to your visibility to getting there. And that means starting yesterday, right? Doing it forevermore. Once you know and learn these skills and tools, you have them in your business forevermore and for your career path. So, okay, so there we have, those are the 6 phases. So really just to kind of, summarize and recap, it's The first 1 to 4 are definitely more proactive activity, right? That's building your foundation. That's the yes stages of like really just wanting to do all the things and get yourself out there and build that profile, that online presence. And then by phases 5 and 6, you're starting to hit that magical moment. I've seen a lot of clients like hit that. Personally, I've had some of those magical moments where it's like people start to come to you, right? You get to stop spinning your wheels, stop struggling. People are calling you, they're coming to you, and you don't have to struggle to find your audience, your clients, your jobs, whatever it is. You're in that place where it's like really easy, and people just want what you have because they know you're putting it out there and they know what it is that you offer. So that's, kind of the trajectory that I've seen most often. I know some of you are popping in where you identified with, but I'd just love to hear in the chat, or I'll check over here as well. Those of you still with us on Instagram, hello. Like where are you in that trajectory? I know some of you earlier were saying kind of in the earlier phases, we had 1 and 2, phase 2. So really you can see how this is something that becomes something we want to build in to your career, to your business, into your journey. So even in my program where I've had, some people in there with me, they keep re-enrolling and sticking with it because, it's great to do a few months of this work, but then you realize, oh my gosh, like there's so much that can be done, so much more that can be done. And it's an incredible journey. And when you start getting those wins, it becomes a little bit addictive. It becomes easier, more fun, right? It's a really exciting journey to be on. So let's see if we have any other questions or anything coming through. Does anyone have anything that they wanted to address or ask me out of those 6 phases? And we also have a special gift for everyone who's here today. So a lot of you are already in my free community. So I would say feel free to join us over in the Shine Strategy Insiders on Facebook. That's our free community. We have over, I think, 2,600 people in there now. So it's a fantastic community of heart-centered, purpose-driven business owners, consultants, and creatives. And for anyone who's here today and tuning in and feeling like, okay, like this is all great, but how does it apply to me? And how can I actually start implementing and using this in my business? I want to gift you a 20-minute PR action plan call with me. So this is a call you actually get with me, not with someone else on my team. So if you're feeling like, wow, this really resonates, what she's talking about, I like her style and her vibe, right? Because you got to like who you're connecting with, right? That makes it much easier to like take in the information, right? Actually start to implement and feel supported along the way if you're with someone that you really like working with. I see, let's see, something coming through here. And we've got, okay, Eyelet saying, it seems I'm in phase 1, but have much more to work with than I realized before. Thank you for the mind shift. Yeah, right? Like once you see like what's possible, like truly that's what this is. These 6 phases are just showing you what's possible. And Hope says, how long did it take to get from the first stage to the 6? I understand it depends on your own activity, but based on someone's experience, it's different for everyone. Yeah, I wish I could say there was a solid answer to that, but it depends on so many factors. One, how committed are you to the journey? How much effort are you putting into it and activity? I've had within 6 months a client go through the stratosphere with her publicity and awareness just from, we actually did, because she had a pretty good foundation already, and we just did some tweaking and revamping with her positioning and her materials. And within 6 months, she was appearing in business magazines like Fast Company, her industry trade magazines. She was already a paid speaker, but within the 6 months she had, because she kind of started with a light speaking schedule, and that's why she wanted to do the publicity. Within 6 months, her paid speaking schedule was booked over 2 years out, right? So that's the power of this work. Like it can be really fast. The stars can align and lightning can strike, and it can be incredible. And then some people go, at a much slower pace, right? If you're just starting out, you've got to know that this is about the long game, right? This is about showing up weekly, consistently. All of these things that you heard about today, all of these activities. It doesn't mean you have to do all the things. All of the people I work with are CEOs, right? They're the CEO of their business. So they're either, an actor, a creative, a consultant, a business owner, a CEO, a founder, and they're running their own show. So the key to that and the secret to that is going to be your team and delegation, right? So even if you're delegating to an intern or maybe a virtual assistant, having some sort of support is going to be really key. And it's not that you have to start with support, but eventually you'll get there. And, the delegation is just so important. So that person I was just mentioning that had that through the stratosphere experience, when I asked her, I said, how much people wanted to know, how much time did it take you working on this stuff that Heather was showing you to get those results? And she said about 2 hours per week. And that was between her and her team's time. So not even 2 hours fully for herself. She was delegating to a virtual assistant and I think a marketing website kind of person to help them with some website improvements and updates. So if you can at least do a couple hours a week of this work and stop spinning your wheels on the millions of other directions and marketing tactics and things that are out there. I mean, it's a very crowded marketplace. There's a lot of people, saying they have, the fast track and the secrets and all of that. But, I can say from my own experience, like I have seen this happen over and over again. You can check out the prstars.net site. We have a whole praise page where we have clients that I've worked with and supported that are talking about the incredible results they've gotten and how much it's so much shifts. Once you say yes to this work, you're saying yes to yourself and the universe responds. Oftentimes when people say yes to working with me, like the next day they call me and they say, oh my gosh, like the phone just rang and I just got this opportunity, or that person that I'd been trying to reach forever finally called me. It is just like a big shift when you make the commitment. So that in that first phase that we talked about is the commitment to your visibility. That's really the first step. So let's see. So Hope, sorry, probably not the answer you wanted. There's no real definitive timeline, but that's why we build this work into your business and the work that you're doing, because it is a long game, right? It could take years to get to phase 6. Sometimes lightning strikes. And, again, you even hear about this when you hear about like actors having massive success. They call them overnight successes. Most of those actors were working for 20 years before they had their quote unquote overnight success. So just know that as soon as you do start doing this, the needle does start to move. Things do start to happen as you're getting the results. The biggest secret that I can teach and that we have in my Shine Online program is pillar 6, which is I have 6 pillars in that program, different than these 6 phases. But that pillar is all around leveraging your wins. And that's what a lot of people forget to do. So when you're leveraging your wins, that's when you get to raise your prices. That's when more opportunities come in, bigger and better things keep happening and things get easier, faster, right? So yeah, this stuff, I use it for myself. I, have taught it to so many people just in the past few years. I used it for years, over 2 decades with my own agency clients. So I've seen it work for people over and over and over and over again. And so that's why I'm out here singing loud and proud of like, just wanting everybody to know that this is such a fantastic tool. And I do call it a shortcut to getting to where you want to go. Because when you have that commitment to your vision, you say yes to it, and then you're taking that inspired action with the guidance of a mentor who knows how to get you there, it really accelerates the journey. It can go a lot quicker. So we have the gift for anyone who's watching today. So I think who's here, Prab or Trish, if you have that link for them to book in, let's share that. Okay, I see it's already over here in the Zoom. And let's make sure we get that in over at Instagram, and I see it, and on the Facebook chat too. So anyone who is resonating and feels like you want to connect a little deeper in on these topics of how to do this for yourself, for your own business, let's hop on a call and just, talk about it and see where you're at. This is really great if you're here and watch this masterclass. This is one reason I give the gift, because now you kind of have an idea of where you're at. So we're not starting the conversation from zero. Like, you're coming to the call saying, hey, this is where I'm at based on what you learned today, right? We there's going to be an intake on that link that you can share a little bit about where you're at with me before we even get on the call. So, all right, with that, any more questions? We'll probably start wrapping up here. Let's see. We've got, everyone looks like they are good to go. Wonderful. Okay. Well, it was so great to see you all. Hopefully we'll see you in a call, or we're going to be doing some form of live every Thursday at 1 p.m. So some sort of a masterclass every other week. And if it's not a masterclass, it'll probably be me doing either like a mini training or an interview with somebody who's had some of the success that we've talked about and can share just like what that journey's like. And we'll just keep infusing you with all the good vibes. You are very welcome. I see some thank yous coming through here. And yeah, it was wonderful to see you all today. And again, you can watch the replay in the Facebook group. So if you haven't joined us over there, go ahead, because that's where we can all continue to stay connected. All right. I hope you all have a beautiful day and shine on. Go get visible. Bye.